Hey there. So you're diving deep into the world of fasting.
Fascinating stuff.
I see you've got a great mix of materials here, even a podcast episode outline.
Talk about meta.
But let's unpack this together.
Yeah.
What specifically has sparked your curiosity about fasting and its potential for better health?
Well, what's really interesting is that fasting,
Yeah.
it isn't just another trendy diet.
Right.
It's a natural process
Okay.
that's been woven into human history for centuries.
Mhm.
We evolved with periods of feast and famine.
It makes you wonder if our modern, always-on eating culture has thrown something out of balance, right?
It does.
But before we go too far down that road,
Yeah,
let's make sure we're on the same page about what fasting actually means.
sure. It
And-
really comes down to when you eat, not what you eat.
Right.
Unlike traditional dieting, where you're focused on restricting certain foods or calories,
Right.
fasting is all about intentionally choosing periods of time to abstain from eating altogether.
That when versus what distinction is a great point. And it seems like there's a lot of buzz lately about the potential benefits. I'm seeing things in your research about weight loss,
Right.
mental clarity, even potentially impacting how we age.
Wow.
Where should we start to break this down?
Okay, let's start with how fasting actually works on a biological level.
Okay.
When you fast, your body eventually depletes its readily available glucose, its go-to energy source.
Okay.
This is where things get interesting because it forces a metabolic shift called ketosis.
Okay, ketosis.
Yeah,
That's a word we hear a lot.
right.
But can you explain what's actually happening in our bodies during this process?
Essentially, your body starts looking for alternative fuel sources, and it lands on stored fat.
Ah,
It breaks down those fat stores to produce ketones, which can be used for energy.
so we're switching from burning sugar to burning fat.
Exactly.
Why all the hype about ketones?
Here's where it gets fascinating. Ketones are a remarkably efficient fuel source, especially for the brain. They can cross the blood-brain barrier easily, providing a steady and readily available energy supply. Many people who practice fasting report feeling mentally sharper, experiencing improved focus, and even having better memory recall.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
It's almost like giving your brain a premium fuel upgrade.
right.
Now, I'm also seeing something about autophagy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you shed some light on that?
Autophagy is a fascinating process.
Oh.
Think of it like your body's built-in recycling and cleanup crew.
Hmm.
When you fast, your cells start to break down and recycle old or damaged components, getting rid of the cellular junk.
So it's like a spring cleaning on a cellular level.
That's a great analogy.
I can see how getting rid of that cellular debris could be beneficial.
Yeah.
But what are the implications for overall health?
The research on autophagy is still evolving,
Okay.
but it's linked to some very exciting possibilities.
Such as?
Scientists are studying how it contributes to cellular repair, disease prevention, and even the aging process itself.
Okay, hold on. So we've got this fat-burning ketosis thing happening. Our brains are getting a high-octane fuel source.
Right.
And our cells are literally cleaning house.
Exactly.
That's a lot to process.
It is.
What are some of the specific benefits that your research is highlighting?
The potential benefits of fasting are quite extensive,
Okay.
and we're just beginning to understand their full scope.
Right.
Weight and fat loss are often the initial motivators,
Yeah.
but the research extends far beyond that.
Hmm.
Improved mental clarity and focus, as we discussed, are major benefits.
Right.
But there's also growing evidence to suggest that fasting can reduce inflammation throughout the body,
Interesting.
protect heart health, and even enhance longevity.
Hang on. Enhance longevity.
Yes.
That's a big claim.
It is.
What does the research actually say about fasting and its potential impact on lifespan?
That's one of the most exciting areas of research right now.
Oh, wow.
It seems that fasting can trigger certain cellular processes
Mhm.
that protect against age-related damage and diseases.
Mhm.
While we don't have all the answers yet,
Right.
the early findings are incredibly promising.
Okay. So potentially living longer, healthier lives.
Exactly.
That's definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah.
You also mentioned something about improved insulin sensitivity.
Right.
What is that and why is it important?
Insulin sensitivity is a key factor in how our bodies regulate blood sugar levels.
Okay.
When your cells become resistant to insulin,
Hmm.
it can lead to a cascade of problems,
Mm.
including type 2 diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Fasting appears to improve insulin sensitivity,
Okay.
helping your body use glucose more efficiently
Right.
and potentially reducing the risk of developing these chronic conditions.
That's huge.
It is.
Especially in our world where Sugary drinks and processed foods are everywhere.
Everywhere you look.
It sounds like fasting could be a powerful tool for getting our metabolic health back on track.
Absolutely.
But I imagine it could be overwhelming trying to figure out where to start.
Oh, yeah.
Your research mentions a variety of different fasting methods. What are the most common ones?
There are quite a few approaches.
Okay.
And the key is finding one that fits your lifestyle and goals.
Gotcha.
One of the most popular methods is intermittent fasting, specifically the 16.8 protocol.
16-8.
Yeah,
This involves fasting for 16 hours each day
that's right.
and having an 8-hour eating window.
Correct.
So you're essentially extending the natural overnight fast that we all experience.
Precisely.
What are some of the other methods people are using?
There's also the 5.2 diet,
Okay.
which involves eating normally for 5 days a week and restricting calories to around 500, 600 for 2 non-consecutive days. It's a different approach, but it can still tap into many of the benefits of fasting.
That sounds like a more gradual way to ease into the world of fasting.
It is.
Are there any methods that are considered more advanced?
The eat-stop-eat method is a step up in intensity.
Okay.
It involves a full 24-hour fast once or twice a week.
Okay.
And then there's alternate day fasting, whereas the name suggests you fast every other day.
Wow. Alternate day fasting sounds pretty intense.
It can be.
I'm curious to hear more about how people actually make these different methods work in their lives.
Absolutely.
And importantly, what are some tips for making fasting a sustainable and successful part of a healthy lifestyle?
That's where the rubber meets the road. And we'll delve into all of that in part 2 of our deep dive.
I can't wait.
Me neither.
Okay, I'm really curious to dig into these different fasting methods and how people actually make them work in their everyday lives.
It's fascinating.
But before we go there, I'd love to hear more about the history of fasting.
Okay.
You mentioned it's been around for centuries.
Right.
What's the story there?
Well, fasting has deep roots in human history, often intertwined with spiritual and religious practices.
Okay.
Think about Ramadan, Lent, Yom Kippur.
Right.
These traditions have incorporated fasting for centuries.
It's fascinating how those ancient practices often had a scientific basis.
Yeah.
Even if people didn't fully understand the biological mechanisms at play.
It really highlights the interconnectedness between our bodies, our beliefs, and the natural world.
Yeah.
What's striking is that modern science is now catching up with these age-old practices, shedding light on the physiological benefits that cultures around the world have intuited for generations.
That makes me think about the different ways people have practiced fasting throughout history. Are there any interesting cultural variations that stand out?
Definitely. Like what?
The duration, frequency, and specific rules of fasting vary widely across cultures and religions.
Interesting.
Some practices involve complete abstinence from all food and drink,
Right.
while others allow certain foods or beverages.
Okay.
The methods are diverse, but the underlying principle of abstaining from food for a specific period remains consistent.
It's almost like a universal human experiment, right?
It is.
Different cultures, different approaches, but all tapping into this fundamental biological process.
Precisely. And as we're uncovering the science behind fasting,
It's clear that these diverse practices have a lot to teach us about the adaptability and resilience of the human body.
this is all so fascinating.
It is.
But I also want to make sure we address the practicalities.
Of course.
Is fasting safe for everyone? Are there any situations where people should proceed with caution?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
While fasting can be incredibly beneficial for many people, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
Certain groups need to be more cautious
Okay.
or avoid it altogether.
Like who?
For example, pregnant or breastfeeding women
Right.
have unique nutritional needs
Yeah,
and shouldn't restrict their calorie intake without guidance from their healthcare provider.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Their bodies are working so hard to nourish both themselves and their babies.
Absolutely.
Who else should be extra careful?
Individuals with certain medical conditions like diabetes, eating disorders, or a history of nutrient deficiencies
Okay.
should also consult with their doctor before trying any type of fasting.
Yeah.
It's crucial to have personalized guidance to ensure safety and address any potential risks.
It sounds like open communication with your healthcare provider is key,
It is.
especially if you have any pre-existing conditions or concerns.
Absolutely. And even for generally healthy individuals,
Okay.
it's essential to listen to your body and not push yourself too hard,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're first starting out.
Right.
Fasting should feel empowering and positive, not like a punishment or a source of stress.
So start slow, Pay attention to how you feel.
Exactly.
And if anything feels off, don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor for guidance.
Right.
It's about making informed choices that align with your individual health goals.
Now, I know you're particularly interested in the potential anti-aging benefits of fasting.
Definitely. The idea of extending both lifespan and health span, those years we live with vitality and well-being,
Right.
is incredibly exciting.
And the emerging research in this area is truly captivating. We've already discussed how fasting triggers autophagy, that cellular cleanup process.
Right. The body's internal spring cleaning crew.
Exactly. And by removing damaged cells and promoting cellular repair, autophagy seems to play a significant role in slowing down the aging process and protecting against age-related diseases.
So it's not just about living longer. It's about living better for longer.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just autophagy.
Right.
Research suggests that fasting can also influence specific genes and pathways that are directly involved in longevity and cellular resilience.
That's incredible. It's amazing how changing when we eat
I know, right?
can have such profound effects on our biology,
Yeah.
right down to the genetic level.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of our metabolic processes and their impact on our overall health and longevity. And while the research is still ongoing, the potential implications for extending healthy lifespans are immense.
It makes you wonder what we might discover about the human body's capacity for self-renewal and longevity in the coming years.
It's an exciting frontier of scientific exploration.
Yeah.
And I think we're only scratching the surface of what's possible.
Okay, so we've talked about the science, the history, and the potential benefits.
Right.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that there's also a philosophical aspect to fasting that resonates with many people.
Absolutely. For many, fasting is more than just a dietary intervention.
Okay.
It can be a practice of self-discipline, a way to cultivate mindfulness, and even a pathway to connect with something deeper within themselves.
It seems to tap into a desire for simplicity.
Yes.
A way to step back from the constant consumption and stimulation of modern life.
It's about creating space for introspection and reflection, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, that can be incredibly grounding.
It's like hitting the reset button, not just for our bodies, but also for our minds.
And I think that's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
Fasting can be a tool for reconnecting with our inner selves, for rediscovering our natural rhythms, and for finding a sense of balance in a world that often pulls us in a million different directions.
You know, it strikes me that fasting offers a way to reclaim control over our relationship with food.
Yes.
In a culture that's constantly bombarding us with messages about what, when, and how much to eat.
It's about tuning into our own internal signals and rediscovering our innate wisdom about when our bodies truly need nourishment.
That sense of empowerment can be incredibly transformative.
It can.
Both physically and emotionally.
Exactly. And it aligns with the growing movement toward mindful eating and intuitive nutrition, where we're encouraged to listen to our body's cues and honor our individual needs.
It's like we're rediscovering ancient wisdom and applying it to our modern lives.
Exactly.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive into the world of fasting.
We have.
From the science to the history to the philosophy. But I think it's time to bring this back to our listener and their specific interests.
I agree. Ultimately, they need to decide how, or even if they want to incorporate fasting into their own lives.
We've provided a lot of information.
Yeah.
But it's about empowering them to make informed decisions that align with their personal goals and values.
So what are the key takeaways our listeners should keep in mind as they navigate this fascinating world of fasting?
First and foremost, I think it's important to remember that fasting is a powerful tool.
It is.
With a wide range of potential benefits.
Absolutely.
From weight loss and mental clarity to reduced inflammation and even the possibility of enhanced longevity.
Right.
There's a lot to be excited about.
There is.
But it's equally important to remember that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. What works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
It's crucial to approach fasting with a sense of mindfulness.
Okay.
Paying attention to your body's signals.
Yeah.
And adjusting your approach as needed.
And as we've discussed, open communication with your healthcare provider is always a wise decision.
Right.
Especially if you have any health concerns.
Yeah.
Or are considering more intense forms of fasting.
I'm also thinking back to what you said about the philosophical aspects of fasting. It seems like it's not just about the physical benefits.
Right.
But also about the mental and emotional shifts it can create.
Absolutely. Fasting can be a practice of self-discovery,
Yeah.
a way to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself and your body. And that can be incredibly empowering.
It's like a journey of exploration.
Dear.
It's both inward and outward.
Exactly.
I know our listeners particularly interested in those potential anti-aging benefits.
Yeah,
And the research is certainly compelling,
it is.
but it's important to be realistic, right?
Of course, aging is a complex process influenced by a multitude of factors.
Yeah.
Fasting is not a magic bullet for eternal youth,
Yeah.
but it can be a valuable tool for supporting healthy aging.
When combined with other lifestyle factors like exercise stress management and a nutrient-rich diet,
It's all about a holistic approach to well-being.
well said. And I think that's a great segue into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll
Yeah.
explore the practical side of things,
Right.
how to actually incorporate fasting into your daily life.
All right, we've covered the science, the
Yeah.
history, the potential benefits, and even the philosophy behind fasting.
It's been quite a journey.
But now,
Yeah.
let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
How do you actually make this work in real life?
Right.
It's one thing to read about it,
Yeah.
but actually incorporating it into your daily routine,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the rubber meets the road.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about bridging that gap between theory and practice.
Exactly.
And that's where things can get tricky.
Exactly. Life gets in the way.
It does.
Temptations are everywhere.
Everywhere.
And sometimes it's just easier to stick with our usual eating habits. So how do we move beyond those hurdles and make fasting a sustainable part of our lives?
Well, the key is to start small.
Right.
Be flexible. And find what truly fits your lifestyle.
Right.
Let's say you're intrigued by the 168 method of intermittent fasting,
Okay.
a popular choice for beginners.
16-8.
Yeah.
That's the one where you fast for 16 hours
Right.
and have an 8-hour eating window, right?
Exactly.
Seems simple enough on paper.
Yeah.
But how do you actually choose an eating window that works for you?
That's the beauty of this method. It's flexibility.
Okay.
You get to decide when you eat.
Gotcha.
Some people find it easier to skip breakfast and have their first meal around noon.
Okay.
Others prefer to have an early dinner and finish their last meal by 8 p.m.
Right.
It's all about finding what feels most natural and sustainable for your daily routine.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Nope.
It's about tuning into your body and your schedule.
Exactly.
Now, once you've figured out your eating window,
Yeah.
what's next?
The next step is to focus on what you're eating during those 8 hours.
Okay.
Remember, the goal is to nourish your body with nutrient-dense foods
Right.
that will keep you feeling full and satisfied.
So we're talking about ditching the processed junk
Yes.
and opting for whole, unprocessed foods, right?
Absolutely.
Give me some specifics.
Okay.
What are some examples of nutrient-dense meals and snacks
Yes.
that would work well within a fasting routine?
Think lean protein sources like fish, chicken, or beans.
Okay.
Load up on colorful vegetables.
Right.
Think leafy greens, broccoli, peppers, all packed with vitamins and fiber.
Right.
Healthy fats are crucial too, like
Yeah.
those found in avocados, nuts, and olive oil.
Gotcha.
And don't forget to stay hydrated throughout the day.
Hydration. That's a great point.
It is.
It's easy to forget to drink enough water when you're not eating as frequently.
Yeah.
So keep that water bottle handy
Yes.
and sip on it throughout the day.
Absolutely.
And let's be real.
Okay.
One of the biggest challenges with fasting is dealing with those hunger pangs.
Oh, yeah.
Any tips for navigating those moments of weakness?
Here's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay.
The first step is to really listen to your body.
Mm.
If you're truly physically hungry,
Right.
it's okay to break your fast.
Okay.
But often those cravings are more about habit or boredom than true hunger.
So it's about distinguishing between those emotional cravings and genuine physical hunger.
Exactly.
How do you tell the difference?
Pay attention to the sensations in your body.
Okay.
If your stomach is rumbling
Yeah.
and you're feeling lightheaded or low on energy,
Right.
that's a sign of physical hunger.
Gotcha.
But if it's more of a mental craving, try distracting yourself.
Okay.
Go for a walk, read a book, listen to music, or call a friend.
Right.
Shifting your focus can work wonders.
I love those suggestions. Now, what about social situations?
Yeah,
Eating is such a big part of our social lives.
it is.
How do you navigate those gatherings when you're fasting?
That's a great question. And it's definitely something to be mindful of. Communication is key.
Okay.
Let your friends and family know about your fasting routine
Right.
so they understand why you might not be eating at certain times.
Right.
And remember, it's perfectly okay to politely decline food or drinks
Mm-hmm.
if you're not in your eating window.
Right. You don't have to make a big deal out of it.
Nope.
Just Be assertive and respectful of your own choices and your health goals.
Exactly.
True friends will understand and support you.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about exercise.
Okay.
Can you work out while fasting?
That's a question I've had myself.
Yeah.
Some people swear by fasted workouts, while others say it's best to fuel up before hitting the gym.
I see.
What's your take?
You can definitely exercise while fasting.
Okay.
But as with everything, it's about listening to your body and adjusting your routine as needed.
Right.
Some people find they have more energy and focus during fasted workouts, while others feel weaker or lightheaded.
So pay attention to how you feel. Don't push yourself too hard.
Right.
And if something feels off,
Yeah.
adjust your workout intensity or timing.
And make sure you're properly hydrated before doing and after your workout.
Right.
That's crucial whether you're exercising in a fasted state or not.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of practical tips for making fasting work in everyday life.
Yeah.
From choosing your eating window and focusing on nutrient-dense foods
Right.
to managing hunger pangs and navigating social situations.
It's a lot to think about.
Is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they embark on this journey?
I think one of the most important things to remember is that consistency is key.
Okay.
You might not see results overnight.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself and focus on building sustainable habits over time.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
And it's about finding what works for you and your unique lifestyle.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. And remember, fasting is just one piece of the puzzle. A healthy lifestyle also includes regular exercise, stress management, quality sleep, and meaningful connections with others.
It's about taking a holistic approach to well-being.
Absolutely.
And finding a balance that nourishes your mind, body, and soul.
Well said. And don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay?
Try different fasting methods. See what feels right for you and adjust as needed.
Right.
This is a journey of self-discovery, and it's about finding what empowers you to live your healthiest and happiest life.
It's been an incredible deep dive into the world of fasting.
It really has.
We've explored the science, the history, the practicalities, and even the deeper meaning behind this ancient practice.
It's fascinating stuff.
I hope you, our listener, feel empowered to explore this fascinating world and unlock its potential for yourself.
Me too. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Right.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more you learn about your body and how it responds to different stimuli, the better equipped you'll be to make informed choices that support your overall health and well-being.
So true. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of fasting.
My pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring.